And EastEnders continues on Monday when Michelle's pregnancy is confirmed, but she says she will never reveal who the father is, but I think we all know, don't we?
Just after midday today, Gloria Hunniford is joined by Arlette Jones, Clark Peters, creator and star of a new musical about Nat King Cole, and Ross King goes behind the scenes of the comedy series Rumble.
But right now, it's very nearly 10:35 on Friday the 19th of May. Welcome to another Good Morning.
And it promises to be a blooming good show because...
well, everything's coming up roses and lavender and honeysuckle and mint. Stefan Buchatsky has a fragrant notion and is in the garden at 20 to 11.
Tanya Breyer on celebrity hotspots. Where can you rub suntans with the stars this summer? Find out at 10 to 11.
Miss Whiplash herself, Cleo Rokos, joins us at 10 past 11 with her tribute to Kenny Everett.
It's obviously all in the best possible taste. And if all that isn't enough to whip you up into a frenzy, there's an invasion in our kitchen. Good morning, gentlemen.
You didn't know by now, it is cup final weekend. Nick Cole from Paris wrote to me and he said, I'm from Merseyside, I want to taste the Liverpool on cup final day. Can you cook scouse? I said no, but I know a man who can.
Yes, Scousers pie and Manchester tart. Join us later for a bit of a tarty pie experience.
No losers.
Well, we'll see about that. Of course, he's a bit of an Everton fan.
You're looking forward to the game, then?
I'm looking forward to Cup Final Saturday afternoon.
Yeah,
yes, I am, because it's the wonderful day to go shopping.
You are joking.
No,
How
it
can
really
you go
is,
shopping on a Saturday anyway?
There's no traffic.
Cup final day.
You can park where you want. You can actually park outside the shop that you want to go in. It's absolutely a wonderful day to go shopping.
So honestly, is that what you're going to do when the Cup Final's on?
Have you never been shopping on Cup Final afternoon?
I never go shopping any Saturday because you feel as though you're missing the main chance. You know what I mean? Saturdays is all about being a big game. Football or cricket, for that matter, yeah.
Oh, right, fine.
So, I was at a big dinner last night, the Footballer of the Year dinner last night. Wonderful.
Footballer of the Year.
All these household names from Luton. It was a...
really,
it was a great night. All asking after you.
Were they?
No.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a good night, though.
I speak well of them as well, don't I? Do let us know what you're going to be doing Cup Final afternoon, whether you're going to be Cup Finaling or whether you're going to be seeking refuge somewhere else. I'd like to know how you cope with Cup Final fever in your household. 0121 415 5000. Do give us a call. Now, if you're going to be seeking refuge in the garden, for instance, to avoid the football, maybe you'd like to give Stefan Buchatsky a ring.
Yeah, it's a general gardening phone-in today, 0121 415 5000.
And Stefan will be taking your calls at about 11:30.
Now, many people reckon we have the best fighting forces in the world, but the Ministry of Defence doesn't always have such a good reputation when it comes to the treatment of service families.
Take the case of Ellen Hughes. Her husband Neil was killed in a mock battle, and it took her a year to find out exactly why and how he died. Meanwhile, she and their little daughter had to leave their army home, and there's still no sign of compensation.
Well, they're with us right now, along with their lawyer, Hilary Meredith, who says they're not alone in their plight. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
So, Ellen, as we say, it took you a year, really, to find out exactly what happened at the inquest. What did happen?
Well, basically, Neil had been on the range that day as the safety supervisor for another battalion. Part of his job was to escort a grenadier forward to post a grenade into a bunker. As he did so, the rest of the exercise was going on around them. As he crouched down in a bunker to talk this lad through his task, the bullets apparently had been flying around them, and my husband was hit in the side by a bullet, and another hit his helmet. He then shouted to the lad he was with that he had been hit and shouted to get a medic.
And he was taken in a helicopter, wasn't he,
Yes.
to hospital? And actually, while he was in the helicopter, his last words were about you,
Yeah.
weren't they? But you never found out about that, not till a year later.
No.
What was it like to hear all that in a public courtroom, in an open court?
It's very distressing. It was just heartbreaking to hear his last words coming from a total stranger a year later.
A year later, and you
Yeah.
hadn't known anything about that up
No.
till that point. And you'd been asking, I mean, you'd wanted to know all the way
Yeah.
through that year. And of course, you've got little Tammy to cope with as well. And in the meantime, you lost the right to live in an army house, of course.
Well, you do get 6 months initially in an army quarter. After that, you become a regular occupant. I then requested in writing for an extension of 2 months, as I was in the process of trying to get my own place.
How long had you been married?
4 years.
Yeah, and actually you'd met while Neil was serving in Northern Ireland.
Yes, I did.
And you were a cross-border love affair in a way, because you're a
Yeah.
you're a Protestant from Shankill Road,
That's right.
and he's actually a Catholic.
Yes, he is.
Hilary, the verdict at the inquest was unlawful killing, but there's been no compensation.
No.
Why?
We have been asking the Ministry of Defence for nearly 2 years now whether they will accept this claim, and the reply that we've always been given is that they're still awaiting a board of inquiry. We found this very hard to believe because the coroner managed to have an inquest 12 months after the incident.
And the coroner had ruled that Neil had been unlawfully killed.
That's right. Yet the Ministry of Defence said that they couldn't get their own witnesses together on the same day for a board of inquiry. And it wasn't until 2 days ago that they actually announced, after nearly 2 years, that they have no intention of holding a board of inquiry.
What sort of compensation do you think Ellen and Tammy should get?
Well, they should rightly get her husband's future loss of earnings because they are now dependents on Neil's income. So they should get his loss of earnings up to the date that he would have retired.
And at the moment you've been unable to do a lot of the things that you and Neil had planned for, including Tammy's education. He'd wanted her to go to a particular school, hadn't he?
Well, that's right. We have her name down for the school in York. She would start at age 8.
But at the moment you can't afford to.
No.
Hilary, the Ministry of Defence is saying you should take civil action.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that?
We are taking civil action. That's not our complaint. On most of my cases we're taking civil action. The complaint is that we can't even put together our statement of claim for the pleadings until we know what's happened. There is an added difficulty with financing these cases as well.
How long would it cost, how much would it cost, say, to go to court for 3 days?
It's very expensive. For 3 days in court with barristers' fees, you're talking about a lot of money. Unfortunately, in Ellen's case, she doesn't meet the criteria for legal aid because she's just above the legal aid limits, but couldn't possibly fund a 3-day full-day hearing.
And this is common. I mean, you're representing a lot of people who are in the same sort of situation.
Yes, this is very common. I have over 300 cases similar to Ellen's, where again, people are not entitled to legal aid because they're just over the limit, but they can't afford to pay privately.
I mean, the MOD is saying if the legal process is taking a long time, which sometimes happens and is not always the Ministry's fault, interim payments can be and frequently are made. And Lord Henley, one of the ministers involved, expressed confidence that the regiments deservedly enjoy their reputation for the sensitive aftercare of widows and the invalided. You don't go along with that?
If that's the case, why haven't we had an interim payment on Ellen's case? We've been told for 2 years that no, they will not accept this claim or give any decision on it until after a board of inquiry, and it wasn't until 2 days ago after this publicity that the Ministry of Defence eventually said to us there will be no board of inquiry. But even having said that, they still haven't accepted this claim.
Well, perhaps they are going to start to wake up to things. I mean, there's a front page headline in the Daily Mail today, which is your story, isn't it, Ellen? I mean, what is all this doing to you, this delay? I mean, it must mean you just can't start to grieve properly because you've got so many other things to be concerned about.
Well, that's right. I mean, from the day Neil died till today, it has just been one big long delay. We can't put the tragedy behind us. We will never forget it, but we would like to be able to get on with our lives now. We can't do that until
Would you
this is
agree
all.
that the Ministry of Defence has handled you sensitively?
I have not had any handling from the Ministry of Defence. As far as I'm concerned, I am just another statistic.
Well, thank you for coming to talk to us today. Ellie, we wish you well, and Tammy. And thank you, Hilary, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now it's Friday, and as we were saying earlier, it is Cup Final weekend. But if you're not a football fan, you'll probably find yourself out in the garden. Or at least Stefan will, won't you, Stefan?
Certainly will, and I'm really enjoying the garden this morning. And do you know why I'm enjoying it? Because I can't even see it properly, but I can enjoy the aroma that's coming from it. And to me, that's just as important in a garden as things that you're looking at. And it's a great shame when gardeners neglect perfume when they're thinking about planting their gardens. Now, there are lots of ways you can get perfume into a garden. Perhaps the most obvious way on a long-term basis is to plant shrubs that have perfume. And there is no better shrub out in flowering gardens at the moment than the lilac. And the lilac has wonderful perfume. It comes in a whole array of colours, the typical lilac, mauve lilac one, to the dark reds, to the whites. The problem with lilac, though, in a small garden especially, is that